Hello, and welcome to Grade.com Talks With. Today, we're talking with Todd Perry, CEO and Executive Director at Pujols Family Foundation, an organization promoting awareness, providing hope, and meeting tangible needs for children and families who live with Down syndrome. And if you're new to our podcast, please press subscribe button either on YouTube or your podcast app, because today we're going to learn about an organization that is improving the standard of living and quality of life for impoverished people in the Dominican Republic through education, medical relief, and tangible goods. Hello, Todd. Welcome to Grade.com Talks. We're excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Could you please describe your organization for someone who is not familiar with your work?
Well, the Pujols Family Foundation, it's Albert Pujols, who is a Major League Baseball player here in the United States. He's in his 21st Major League season, so he's had a very lucrative career, and he is one of the four leading home run hitters in Major League history. He's in the top, 12 or whatever in hits, and so he's had an incredible history as far as his Major League Baseball career, but his heart really is in serving people. And when I met him really 20 years ago, he understood his platform in reaching people and having a voice for the community, and he has never wavered from that in 20 years that I've known him. But we started the Pujols Family Foundation back in 2005, which is 16 years ago. And they have a daughter, Isabella, who has Down syndrome. And that was really the catalyst for the conversations and saying, hey, we really want to try to provide programs and events for people with Down syndrome that, because having a child with Down syndrome, they really saw the gaps and the holes in the services that were being provided. So, and having, resources now, they said, hey, maybe we can help, smooth the path a little bit for people and families with Down syndrome with some of the programs we can create. And that was 16 years ago. The other half of our mission, which is interesting, that we have a dual mission and they're completely non-related. But I think if you know Albert, it makes perfect sense because he does have a daughter with Down syndrome and he is from the Dominican Republic. When he was a small boy, he made a vow to himself that, if he ever, could be, someone or be successful or make it off the island, that he would never forget where he came from. And I know a lot of people, they might say that, and then of course never look back when they are successful, especially as successful as Albert's been. But that's one of the things that make him very unique and very authentic, is that he never forgot that promise. So we go back on a regular basis and we bring medical teams, doctors, dentists, optometrists, pediatricians. We bring a full pharmacy. We do HIV testing. I mean, it's a full on busload of people we bring into the bateys, which are the poorest of the poor people in the Dominican Republic. And then we also have different programs for people in the bateys, which we have a baseball league that mentors young men. We have a sewing school for women that gives them a vocation. We have continued education programs. We have clean water, and I mean, there's a lot of different other things that we do, but we just continue to provide services for those two different legs of our organization, pretty much equally.
Mm-hmm. It's wonderful to see that Albert achieved so much success in his career, yet he cares about causes that he has faced in his life. You mentioned about his daughter and family living with Down syndrome, as well as him being from Dominican Republic and not forgetting about the roots of his roots. And now he's giving back to the communities who face the similar challenges that he has faced and is currently facing while raising a child with Down syndrome. So it's very rewarding and important to see that a person who has achieved such success is giving back to the community and making a difference and impact in the lives of people involved in your projects. As one area of your focus is on providing services and programs for children and families living with Down syndrome, it's important for our viewers to understand some of the challenges that children as well as families face when living with Down syndrome. Could you please describe and tell us in more detail about those challenges and obstacles that families and children face?
Yeah, I would be happy to. We do a lot of, and obviously, our mission comes from a very authentic perspective, because Albert and Dee Dee do have a child with Down syndrome, but we also go into the community and we have focus groups, and we really want to make sure that we are serving the population in ways that they need to be served. But in talking to the families, there seems to be, every time we have these discussions, certain topics do seem to come to the forefront. And I think one of those things, and one of the big things, is isolation, because a lot of people with developmental disabilities, once they get out of high school or any type of social setting like that, less than 3% of people with developmental disabilities will actually find full-time employment. So that leaves a vast majority of people who really every day starts to look exactly the same. And some of the studies that we found is, as many as 60 to 70% of that population will spend, between 10 and 16 hours a day in front of a television set. And that's just, or electronic device. And that doesn't set well with us, because that's not what they were created to do. So what we do is we have a lot of socialization at the core, socialization programs. We do a prom every year. Actually, we do several proms every year, but like the one here in St. Louis, we have about 750 people with Down syndrome that come to this event, and it is the best party in the city. And I'm not just, that not just for people with Down syndrome, but period. We have a live band. We have about 18 food vendors, and it's just incredible. We do it at the Ritz-Carlton, and we could do it in the basement of a church with the record player, but we've ever since 16 years ago when we started this, these kids deserve better than that, or they deserve the best that we can offer them. And if we can get the Ritz-Carlton, and we can get the best band in St. Louis, and we can get all of these food vendors, why not do that? Why not serve them at that capacity and that level? We also do bowling events. We do, there's several different social events that we continue to put out there where families can get together, they can get to know each other, they can circle on their calendar, and they know that, this is coming and this is something for them to do. We also talk a lot about life skills, because, 60 years ago, the life expectancy of a person with Down syndrome was 30 years. Now it's 60 years. So it's doubled. Well, really within my lifetime, it's doubled. And it's wonderful, but it also presents different challenges for parents now, because now they're facing the probability that their child will outlive them. So what does that look like? How do you navigate that moving forward? And one of the things that we have really taken seriously is the life skills component. So we one of the things that we do is we offer cooking classes, where we have we have over a dozen classes every year where people come in, they learn recipes, they learn how to cook, they learn how to measure, they learn how to turn the stove on and off, and things that are just helping them with their life skills, and they can prepare an entire meal. And then we all sit down and eat together, and we do this every single summer. And one of the things that's kind of been interesting with COVID is we've continued to do that through Zoom and through the electronic mediums, but one of the very cool things that we didn't expect is now we're having like celebrity chefs join us. So there's people that are on the food shows and food networks that air here in the United States, and they're able to come and be a celebrity chef and cook with the kids with Down syndrome, and it's really cool, and it really has opened up a lot of opportunities for them to that they wouldn't normally have if we hadn't gone through this pandemic. But the third thing is just well-being, and one of the things that we also do is this is kind of the underbelly of the disability world, but a person with Down syndrome, actually a woman with Down syndrome, is 12 times more likely to be sexually assaulted than other women, and that's unacceptable. So what we have done is we have created over the last, probably 12 years, we offer self-defense and conflict resolutions for boys and girls, where we teach them how to get out of sticky situations, how to defend yourself if you are being assaulted or being attacked. And it's things you don't like to talk about, but it's a very real threat for people with developmental disabilities. People with developmental disabilities are among the fastest growing population of identity theft. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's very upsetting when you really start to think about how these people are being exploited, and we just want to push back on that a little bit. And so with we have, like I say, the self-defense and conflict resolution classes. We're running 2 classes right now with about 35 people each, and we still have a waiting list. So it's something that is very needed, and and it's again a need that we're addressing through the foundation.
Absolutely. You mentioned about social isolation being one of the key challenges that children living with Down syndrome face, and the fact that you are organizing such a meaningful experience for many high school kids. It's prom is such an experience that they will remember for their lifetime, and now having an event that is solely focused on them and realizing that they are a whole part of the society, and they get to enjoy one night or several nights that they can party is very wonderful, and they get to interact with their peers, learn about their challenges, and also communicate and learn and have a better a social group, as well as you mentioned, for them learning basic life skills that helps them to become more independent, whether it's a cooking or learning how to do the chores around the house. But most importantly, what you're focusing is on their self-defense for women as well as for the boys. That the fact that it's very horrifying and a very upsetting fact that many people take advantage of people with disabilities, and we need to educate more people. Yet we also need to provide tools for people living with Down syndrome or disabilities to defend themselves, to make sure that they can stand up for themselves. And your organization is addressing and providing a solution for that issue that people with Down syndrome face. And I applaud your meaningful work in that area. The second aspect of your organization, as we discussed earlier, is focusing on providing humanitarian help to Dominican Republic. Could you please tell us what kind of humanitarian crisis is going on in Dominican Republic and the extent of it that is impacting the life of impoverished people?
Yeah, and thank you for asking that, because the people in the Dominican Republic, that the population that we serve, it's primarily Haitian immigrants and descendants of Haitian immigrants who've come to the Dominican Republic for the promise of better jobs and a better life. But what often happens is that they are quickly exploited into. I guess the only term I can use is legalized slavery, where their papers are taken and then they are put into these cane fields, and they work for literally pennies a day, and it's really incredible to see how these people not only live but how they survive in these conditions. And it's generation after generation of people that are trapped in this poverty because they can't go back to Haiti. They're not Dominican citizens. Matter of fact, the Dominican government won't even recognize that they even exist. And there are sometimes tens of thousands of people that are living in these bateys. And it's just, again, it's just amazing that they can survive under those conditions. But those are the people we serve. Those are the people that we're called to go and to minister to, and and being able to bring them not just doctors, but bring them, American doctors, and give them the kind of health care that I would give my own children. And I think that's one of the things that we talk a lot about is, for instance, I know there's, a lot of medical teams go down and they bring down doctors, but not very many bring down dentists. And the ones who do bring down dentists just do extractions. They just pull teeth. Where we bring, we'll do root canals. We will give them the same care that we would give our own children. And I think that is, it's radically different than most other organizations and how they go into these areas. But we, again, just like on the Down syndrome side, we believe that these people are fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God, just like we are. And why would we expect that they would deserve less than what we would give our own children? And I think that's been and yes, it's more expensive and it's more time consuming, and but it's the right thing to do. And that's where we come down on really everything that we're doing in the Dominican Republic is, this COVID crisis has absolutely destroyed the economy in these bateys because it's all unskilled labor. And when everything is shut down, there's no one who's hiring any of these people, and they have there's absolutely no safety net. So one of the things that we did last year, probably about this time, maybe in June last year, we decided we're going to go into really a nutrition mode, and we spent over $400,000 in just food to provide for people who are literally going days and days without eating. And so we just had truckloads of people or food for weeks going into these bateys and providing food for people who are literally starving. And that's one of the things that I love about working here, is because we are a small organization and we can turn on a dime and we can say, hey, maybe the money we had for this project, let's move it over to nutrition and food, and it's very easy to do. So that's been our focus for really the last 12 months. Now that tourism is starting to come back and we're starting to see more people being vaccinated. I think there's 25% right now of the population of the Dominican Republic who have at least one vaccine, which we think is, that's awesome. So it does seem like it's going in the right direction. So now we're starting to pull, and go back into our traditional roles to provide the care that we have, over the past 16 years. But yeah, it's been, and you really have to see it, I think, to understand it, just how incredibly poor these people are, and how little hope and how little resources they have unless someone comes in and gives them a hand or a leg up.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for highlighting the crisis that the Haitian refugees and immigrants face when they leave their home countries and move to Dominican Republic in the search of better life. When we think of Dominican Republic, we think of this Caribbean country with beautiful nature. Yet we don't really know about the crisis of that Haitian immigrants face. and the challenges that face, and your organization being in the is very aware of the challenges that they're facing and addressing them is very, very important. What I like about the medical help that you mentioned is that it's not a one-time help, so it's consistent, sustainable help that you guys go several times a year, where you provide help for people that don't have access to healthcare, or the healthcare is too expensive for them, and the right to healthcare is a basic need that many people require, and the fact that your organization is there to provide help for those people is very important. And seeing the challenges of COVID for tourist-based country, and people not having necessary skills that can be implemented during these hard times and struggling, and your organization was there to provide first time help when it came to food and nutrition, and eventually led for them to sustaining their lifestyle when they were in this COVID crisis. So I really appreciate the work that you guys do in that area. If someone would like to support your foundation, how can they do that?
They can reach out to us. It is our website is Pujols Family Foundation.org, and Pujols is spelled Pujols, PujolsFamilyFoundation.org, and just reach out to us. There's should be an email link there, and they can find out. There's several ways we can plug you in and get you connected to the work we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. The link to the Pujols Family Foundation website will be provided in the description. So you viewing and listening can go to the website and familiarize yourself with the great work Todd and the team at Pujols Family Foundation are doing. Thank you so much, Todd. It was wonderful to get to know you and the great work your organization is doing.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
For you listening, if you enjoyed this conversation, please press the like and share button, because this will show the YouTube and podcast algorithms that this conversation is important, that we need to address the humanitarian crisis happening in Dominican Republic and support organizations that are facing and addressing the challenges that people face. Thank you, and see you in the next episode.